Thank you.
There you go. Suppose you can see the screen, right?
I can see.
Yes, yes, we can see it.
Perfect. Special effects and makeup prosthetics. From what you can understand, this is especially for cinema, even though most of the sessions were focusing on theater. You have to go through this as well for cinema. So, special effects and prosthetics makeup for cinema. The world of cinema has long been captivated by the transformative power of special effects and prosthetics in makeup. From fantastical creatures to gritty, realistic characters, the techniques of special effects have pushed the boundaries of what is possible on the big screen. One of the key advantages of using special effects and prosthetics in cinema makeup is the ability to create truly unique and memorable characters. By sculpting and molding materials like silicone, latex, and gelatin, makeup artists can transform an actor's features into something entirely new. Whether it's the wrinkled skin of an ancient sorcerer or the sharp angular features of an alien warrior. These prosthetic pieces are carefully designed, usually, to integrate seamlessly with the actor's natural features, creating a believable and immersive illusion, you could say, that can transport audiences to other worlds. In addition to the creative potential, special effects and prosthetics also offer practical benefits for filmmakers. By using these techniques, makeup artists can create characters that are consistent across multiple takes and scenes, ensuring continuity, reducing the time required for application as well. Prosthetics can also be used to create realistic injuries and wounds, adding depth and realism to action sequences and dramatic moments. As technology continues to advance, though, the possibilities for special effects and prosthetics in cinema makeup continue to grow, with new materials and techniques emerging to push the boundaries of what is possible for the big screen. Now, there's a theory behind prosthetics creation, why we do prosthetics in the first place. Prosthetics have long been an integral part of special effects in film, television, and theater as well. It's the need to transform or to push the boundaries of a makeup, where we have the limit of coloring one's face, then prosthetics take on. So whatever we cannot reach with simple makeup, we push the boundaries using prosthetics. The theory behind the creation lies in the ability to transform the human form specifically, allowing artists to bring fantastical characters and creatures to life on screen or on stage. At the very core of prosthetics, lies the desire to suspend disbelief and immerse the audience in a world beyond the ordinary. Special effects artists carefully craft prosthetic pieces that integrate with the natural features of an actor, creating the illusion of an entirely new entity, you could say. Whether it can be an alien forehead, a monster claw, superhero jawline, the prosthetic always enhance features, you could say, and serve to heighten the realism and impact of the performance. Beyond the aesthetic, prosthetics also play a crucial role in conveying the emotional and psychological depth of a character in its given project. So it's the same purpose with theater masks, as we mentioned in our latest session, but we need realism as much as possible since it's for cinema this time. The careful sculpting of facial features, the texturing of skin, the incorporation of subtle movements, all of these contribute to the overall expressiveness of the prosthetic on the actor, and it allows the performer to convey a range of emotions that captivate the audience. It is a marriage, you could say, of technical expertise and artistic vision at the same time that has made prosthetic an enduring and essential component for the industry in general. Now, sculpting prosthetics. In order to create successfully a prosthetic, we need to be able to sculpt. So mostly it's sculptors that take on this part of the process, and they can create prosthetics. Sculpting prosthetics is a crucial step in the creation of special effects. It requires a deep understanding of the character design and the mastery of various techniques and materials. At first, we begin with a detailed understanding of the character's design and the desired effect we want to give with a prosthetic. Now, let me tell you something regarding this session. The information given on this session are many and a bit difficult to understand if you haven't been exposed to the materials we're going to mention and to certain techniques. So pay very good attention today to what I'm saying. Okay, thank you for this. So after understanding the character's design and the desired effect we want to give, we create a small scale model called a maquette of the prosthetic piece. We experiment with different shapes, textures, and materials on our sculpture. We use the maquette as a reference point then to ensure accuracy and consistency with the character's design. You can use a variety of materials such as silicone and latex. We're going to talk about the differences of silicone and latex later. Silicone is often used for its ability to mimic human skin, where latex provides a flexible and resilient surface. We blend the chosen materials to create a seamless, lifelike prosthetic, because prosthetics means that we always blend them with actual skin of the performer or the actor. The artist's skill lies in achieving the desired texture, flexibility, and durability. These are all three essential terms for describing our prosthetics. The sculpted prosthetic must then be able to withstand the hours and complexities of filming or the performance. We have a video here for you to understand better. Give it some time, please. So there we go.
Welcome to Basic Sculpting for Prosthetics. In this tutorial, I will sculpt a simple scar. These are all the materials you will need. For further information, see tutorial on tools and materials for sculpting prosthetics. You will need a flat base to work on, like melamine, a piece of shelving, glass, or like me, plastic. You will need a tub. I like to use a leftover hummus tub. Place the tub firmly on the board. Using a Sharpie, draw around the tub. I will be using Chavant's soft, sulfur-free plastiline. Take a small piece and soften it in your hands. Place a ball in the center of the circle. Start to sculpt a shallow mound. Using a wooden tool, take care to blend from the center out towards the edge, creating a nice blended edge. Use a rough rake tool. Sculpt in all directions. Do not worry about the balling of the clay. Use a smooth rake tool. Take care to blend from the center out towards the edge, creating a nice blended edge. Use a soft plastic brush like a toothbrush. Brush in all directions. Try not to favor one direction. Use the wooden tool to sculpt the scar detail. Use a soft plastic brush or toothbrush, brush in all directions. Dispense some talcum powder into a tub. Use a 1-inch bristle brush. Cut off the top to create a stubby brush. Dip the brush in talc, brush in all directions. Use a wire brush. Brush the sculpt in all directions. Do not worry about the clay balling. Talc the sculpt. Brush in all directions. Place a sheet of shopping bag plastic over the sculpt. Using a pointed tool or a hat pin, sculpt in lines and refine scar sculpt. Tap the sculpt again. Use a pep brush. Draw it along the sculpt in smooth, wavy lines. Repeat the process in all directions. Talc the sculpt and repeat it on desired finish. You'll need some lighter fluid, a cup, some cotton buds. Pour out a small amount of lighter fluid. Dip the cotton bud in the lighter fluid and blend and clean the blended edge. This is very important. Clean the blended edge. Using your finger, rub a small amount of talc into the sculpt. You have now completed the sculpt and are now ready to move on to mold the sculpt. Please see the next tutorial on flat plate mold.
Sorry, going a little back for you to observe. See how detailed this sculpt needs to be in order to mimic the skin texture. Now, if we are aware of where the prosthetic is applied on the face or the body, we can know beforehand our desired texture, skin texture. If we do not know, we just do a generic skin texture that can be applied almost everywhere. So that's something he did here. This is a perfect example for a generic prosthetic that can be applied almost anywhere. It's a small scar from what you can understand. And this is also not the actual material of the final prosthetic. This is the material of the sculpture for the prosthetic. Okay, there's more processes to this.
On to mold the sculpt. Please see the next tutorial on flat plate molding. If done correctly, this process can achieve high definition quality. I hope you've enjoyed this basic sculpting for prosthetics tutorial.
Yeah, so the last images were the desired effects we want to give by creating prosthetics. Usually prosthetics are primarily made for wounds, like the one you saw. Now, where were we? Now then we have a mold making process. Once we finish the sculpture, we have to create a mold of the sculpture to have in order to be able to do the pouring of our material afterwards. Whether working with plaster or silicone, special effects artists follow a similar set of steps to ensure the mold making process accurately captures the desired form and the texture. The process begins with the creation of a sculpted original, often referred to as the positive. So the sculpture you saw before was the positive. It is called the positive. The sculpture serves as the basis for the mold and can be made from a variety of materials such as clay, wax, or sculpting foam. You can choose many different materials to sculpt from. Once the positive is complete, the artist will prepare the surface for mold making by applying a release agent or a sealant. Usually the release agent is a wax in the form of spray. Next, a frame or container is constructed around the sculpture to hold the mold making material, because usually the mold making materials are liquids, so we cannot pour a liquid just all over the place. We have to contain it in a border, you could say. For plaster molds, the liquid plaster mixture is poured into the frame and allowed to harden. For silicone molds, multiple layers of liquid silicone are applied, with each layer curing before the next is added. After the mold material has fully cured, the positive is carefully removed, revealing the negative mold. So the negative mold reveals a cavity. Okay. And this is in this cavity, we will do the pouring of our silicone or latex or whatever material desired to create the prosthetic. The mold is then trimmed and prepared for use in casting prosthetic pieces, ensuring that the final product accurately reflects the artist's original vision. I'm sorry. Now, the different molds for prosthetics. As you can see on right and left, we have the ability to do plaster molds or silicone molds. Now, the main difference, you could guess, is that plaster molds are hard and silicone molds are more flexible and soft. So there's a reason to choose one of the two in each instance. Plaster molds have durability. They can withstand high temperatures and pressures. Some of the plaster molds, we can even put them in the oven for the material to be fully cured. We can afford much more plaster rather than silicone as a material. It's cost effective. It has an ease of use. It is simple to create and use. It is ideal for creating rigid, detailed prosthetics like horns, teeth, and other similar prosthetics. It is also suitable for casting materials like latex or silicone. While for silicone molds, they can be reusable. So they are really ideal for pouring multiple times, multiple prosthetics. So from one silicone mold, you can have multiple prosthetics if you pour time after time in the same mold. You can also do that with plaster, although plaster is more prone to breaking since it's a hard material. Silicone molds offer greater flexibility and precision. They can capture the finest details and textures. They are ideal for casting soft prosthetics like skin, muscle, tissue, and these kind of mimics of elements, of skin elements, and they are suitable for casting a wide range of materials, such as hard materials like resin and urethane. Now, choosing the right mold, consider the specific needs of the project. We always have to think what we want to achieve with our prosthetic and what is the occasion of the prosthetic. So, judging from this situation, we either choose plaster molds or silicone molds. We choose the mold material that best suits the material being used, and we select the mold that can achieve the desired level of detail and flexibility. But since it's a bit complex to understand, I'm going to give you just one very important hint regarding molds. If you want to have a flexible, soft material for your prosthetic, you use usually a hard mold, material like plaster. If you want to have a hard material, a hard-made prosthetic material, then you use a soft mold. It's the opposite in its instance. Although you can also have soft prosthetics that have been created from soft molds as well. Now, the difference of latex, gelatin, and silicone prosthetics. Latex, from what we know so far, is this material from which they construct plastic gloves. These gloves we use in many occasions, like pharmacies or medical reasons. These or when we prepare food, this is the same material that can be used for creating prosthetics, although the substance is a bit different there. Now, gelatin is usually made from organic materials. It can be a mix of fat with something, with many ingredients to sustain it. And silicone is a product made from other materials. We don't need to go through this right now. Both three are quite different visually and in their properties. Silicone is flexible and durable. It mimics the texture of human skin. It also has a very good, we can give silicone a very good color from the very beginning before we apply and color the prosthetic. It can mimic wrinkles, scars, and other subtle details that require movement. So it's a very good option if we want prosthetics that need movements on the actor. We got gelatin that is rigid and translucent. It is ideal for creating prosthetic pieces with a defined sculptural appearance that can be horns, claws, and other non-human features. Although gelatin tends to disappear. It's an old material. We don't get to see many prosthetics made from gelatin this time. We mostly use latex and silicone nowadays. Also, gelatin is not that much eco-friendly. That's why, since it's made from organic substances. Latex is perfect for large-scale pieces, such as full-face masks, as we saw in the previous session with our theater appliances, or for body appliances and even costumes. So we have a big alien costume, for example. We can create it from entirely from latex. The choice of material depends on the specific needs of the character and the production budget as well. We cannot possibly choose silicone if the production gives us a small amount of money, unfortunately. Special effects artists consider factors like flexibility, translucency, and durability to achieve the desired result. And by understanding the unique properties and applications of these materials, special effects artists can create prosthetics that captivate audiences and bring the most fantastical characters to life on screen or stage. What affects the decision for the creation of prosthetics from certain materials? As we said before, we can separate the occasions, having film projects, television and stage, and photoshoot projects. Let me go through each one of them. For film projects, it is it's always necessary to have durability and flexibility. So in most of the instances, we use silicone for film projects. Latex and silicone are often preferred for their ability to withstand filming rigors. Longevity is key, as prosthetics may need to be reused across multiple takes or scenes. Although, let me tell you this, latex is not very suitable for the face. It's mostly suitable for costumes and body parts. If we want to preserve face movements, because the face has many different movements, silicone is a better option. For television and stage, we need exaggeration and style at the same time. So latex and silicone prosthetics are well suited for holding intricate shapes and forms. Again, we give emphasis on creating visually striking and memorable characters for television and stage. So we can use both latex and silicone, but latex is perfect for this occasion. And then we got photoshoot projects where the aesthetic appeal and visual impact is of most importance. The aesthetic appeal and visual impact takes priority over durability or functionality, since it's a photo shoot. It's just a photo and that's it. We have our image. We have the freedom to experiment with a wider range of materials in this instance. We can use delicate or unconventional options that can be used to achieve the desired artistic vision. That can be even cardboard, for example. We can create a face or enhance some features even with cardboard, for example, since it's just for a photo shoot. It doesn't serve any function film-wise or for television. So since it's just for a photo, we can use any conventional material. Now then, small flat prosthetics and small wounds. As you can see in the image here on the right, this is a semi-applied flat prosthetic. This is the time where the edge is separated from the prosthetic. We don't need this edge. It's its only function is to how can I describe this? It's to make the application easier. It's like a small wall all around the prosthetic to be able to hold it when we apply the prosthetic. And then you can see on the other side, it has already been applied, and the integration is seamless from the fake silicone part and the skin. We cannot identify where is the real and where is the fake. Okay. Then, same is with left image here. This is an applied prosthetic and with fake blood that has been added. This is one of my works for you to see here. Special effects artists often utilize small, flat prosthetic pieces to depict realistic-looking wounds on the body, such as this instance. Now we got advantages for small, flat prosthetics, and then we got how we create those. The advantages, specifically, is that small, flat prosthetics are thin, flexible, and the design allows for easy application. And they allow for perfect blending into the actor's or model skin. They are relatively quick and cost-effective to produce, and they enable multiple variations. You can do almost any small wound that way. It minimizes disruption to the actor's movements and performance. It enables more natural and believable portrayals of injured characters, and many, many more advantages. Now, creating the prosthetic, as we said before, we sculpt the desired wound shape. That can be a cut, laceration, or abrasion in plastiline, non-sulfur plaster, or monster clay. Then we create the mold, as we saw before, in plaster or silicone. Then we pour silicone, latex, or another desired material in the mold and wait for it to cure. And then we open carefully our negative to trim the poured material and add paint and texture to mimic the damaged skin. That can be discoloration, swelling, or exposed tissue. Again, we have a very, very helpful video here.
In this video, I want to talk about cutting edges, specifically on flat molds. Now, we have in the past on the podcast talked about cutting edges more specifically and in depth. And if you check episode number 61, you'll see there's a pretty extensive booklet, downloadable booklet there that goes into a lot more information. And that entire podcast, episode number 61, is quite involved. But basically, the cutting edge on any appliance really is to separate the end of the appliance and the beginning of where the skin will be.
See the process? There's a small wall all around the prosthetic that helps the application. And then we remove this and we cannot have visible edges. It blends perfectly into the skin.
Is that junction where the fake meets the real, and there has to be a nice flawless blend, and typically the best way to achieve that has to include some kind of cutting edge. So here on these flat pieces you can see I've separated out, this is an upper eyelid swelling and a lower eyelid swelling. So this is what it was like originally, sculpted on a life cast, and then I floated them off, I separated them off onto a board, as you can see here, the left and the right. And they've got the curvature that you would have of an eyelid, and that gradually has to be smoothed down and flattened. And then once you've got your flattened piece, you blend the edges out, and then you add your cutting edge around the outside. And this basically, like I say, it creates a permanent sort of terminus point where the piece stops, so that the piece is the same size all the time. This can be quite useful as well, because if you've got a very specific distance to meet, for example, if you've got an appliance on an upper eyelid, like a swelling, and it has to start below the eyebrow hair but above the eyelashes, that's a very specific distance. So it's quite nice to build something into the mold that permanently has the end point where the appliance will stop. So by sculpting it into the piece at this stage, it becomes part of the mold and it becomes permanent. The other thing that's good is that it's useful to have something to pin to when you want to transport it, and also it gives you something to hold on to whilst you're applying, and then you can remove that once it's applied. The whole process is made much easier by having a sort of, a tangible edge that you can hold on to, which is not going to be the live edge you're going to blend onto the skin. So it's a sensible policy typically to produce a cutting edge with a little overflow on it like this, because it gives you, like I say, a lot of good things during application. Now, what I have seen is a lot of people have been adding their cutting edges a long way away from the edge of the sculpt, and I think this is not a great thing, and I want to explain why I think that, and I'll demonstrate to you, how I think it should be done and why that matters. So typically when I talk about a cutting edge, as you can see here, I've got some pieces that were made. This is the pieces I made in the video here, and you can see that there's two appliances that are basically the same appliance, but one with a much wider edge than the other, and I've pinned them to the board so you can see how useful that border is that I was talking about. So the bit I'm concerned about is this flashing around here. So this bit here, that is the flashing. And that flashing is obviously something that we're going to separate later on, but this obviously is the fine cut edge that is produced by having a nice flashing in the piece when you scrape the mold. This is when I'm talking about open flat molds, when I'm scraping them. So what I've done to demonstrate this process, and why I think also that the silicon softness matters, is here you see two identical appliances that I've made. One is in a much softer silicon than the other, and I can demonstrate this to you by using a durometer. I can squish it here with my finger. You can see this one bends very, very easily. This one's a lot more resistant, and if I use a durometer, you can see this one is nearly a 30 Shore silicon, so it's quite firm, whereas this one peaks up about 5 or 6. It's quite soft, and when I waggle them like this, which as amusing as this is, it does demonstrate how floppy one is compared to the other. So you can see that one silicon is much softer than the other, and I maintain that a firmer silicon typically is better for these kinds of pieces than a softer silicon, and I'll show you why. So here we have an appliance that I have spliced asunder. I've cut it in half in order to show you the end-on sort of profile of what the piece looks like. And here you can see I've got a scraper. I'm typically using a metal scraper to scrape the backs of eyepieces, and when I depress this, you can see it squishes very readily. So this is the softer silicon. This was like a kind of a 6-7 Shore silicon, which a lot of people like their softer silicons. For some pieces, in some instances, it's a great thing, but as you can see here, when I'm scraping it, it typically will yield much more readily because it's so soft. Whereas the firmer silicon, if I do the same action and apply the same amount of force, you can see here that it doesn't compress as much. And why does it matter? Well, I will show you. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run both of these appliances. So I'm going to spray them with cat plastic until I'm happy with the thickness. Here you can see I use a needle to to pull out the edge gently, just to see how thick my cat plastic is and to make sure there's no holes. So I know it's thin. I'm going to use this metal scraper, this nice flexible metal scraper, to scrape the back of the piece, and then mix up my flesh tone silicone. And I'm just going to quickly pour in my silicone, and then what I typically do is I sort of scrape it gently with the mixing stick, just to kind of saturate the surface, to slicken it so that it doesn't grab onto the dry cat plastic with the edge of the scraper. That seems like a sensible way to start. So I scrape the worst off here with the tongue stick, and then I use the metal scraper in a nice clean action and just scrape off the excess. Now what you'll see is, and what you want to have, is that there's a nice border, a clean border around the edge, between the edge of where the silicone stops and the edge of the appliance. Now that dry border there, that is where there is just pure cat plastic, and that will be what blends onto the skin, and you have the nice clean edge, and that's great. If you don't quite get it, you can always clean it with a little cotton bud, but if you're firm with your scraper, you should get a nice clean edge straight off the bat. Now the problem is, obviously, I've got to apply a bit of pressure in order to scrape. So if I press down on a very soft silicone, it's more likely to sort of squish and compress, which means you actually get a wider edge. And if I just do this with a light, you can see here that there is a much wider margin of cat plastic on the softer mold than on the firmer silicone mold. And the reason that's a problem is because when I put it on, obviously, I'm going to get a wider margin of cat plastic, which I'm then going to have on the skin. Now, it's possible, of course, that you could just dissolve off the extra cat plastic, but that means using a lot more acetone on the skin. And if you're going to dissolve off all that cat plastic because it doesn't need to be there, it begs the question why you would make your cutting edge so far away to begin with, or why make your border of cat plastic so big if you don't want it. Because the other problem is that when you have a nice margin of cat plastic around the outside, or a wide margin of cat plastic around the outside of your piece, that then is skin that can crinkle, it's hair that would be flattened by it. It causes a lot of problems. It basically increases the footprint size of the appliance, and we only need the cat plastic to extend 2 or 3 millimeters beyond the edge of where the silicone ends. So that's why I typically will start with a much closer cutting edge when I'm doing mine, because I know that during the scraping the mold is going to compress a bit, and then that will give me a slightly wider edge than I initially put into the mold when I sculpted it. So that's why I start with a tight edge, whereas obviously if you make it very wide to begin with, it becomes a much bigger mold as well. As you can see here, obviously the wider apart it is, the bigger your mold's going to be, so that means your mold is going to cost more to make. You've got an excess of cat plastic that you're going to get rid of anyway, and if you don't get rid of it, it just means that you've got this big wide crinkly margin around the outside of your appliance, which is undesirable. So I maintain that a firmer silicone is a better option for this kind of thing, and that the closer you can get your cutting edge, maybe 2 or 3 millimeters at most from the edge of the sculpt, will be fine, because obviously during the act of scraping you'll probably increase that a little bit. So you want to start with something that's very tight, because anything larger than that is going to get too big, I would think. So here you can see I'm removing my piece. I pull it apart, or I powder the piece. I separate the pieces from the mold. I start by scraping the edge with the tool, just to kind of separate the cat plastic that goes over the edge, so it doesn't grab onto the sides of the mold, and then I can just peel my piece out. So here you can see I'm peeling both pieces out, and then when I pin them to the board like this, you can quite clearly see the difference in the two pieces. So on the left hand side, that's the piece that came from the firmer silicone mold, the 30 Shore silicone mold, and on the right hand side it's the piece that was run in the 7 or 5 to 7 Shore scale, so a much softer mold. And you can see the problem is that I end up with a much wider margin of cat plastic, which I'm then either going to have to remove, or I leave it there and I end up with a lot of crinkling going on around the outside of the piece, which I think is unnecessary.
So that was quite helpful for you to see the pouring process and the final creation of the small flat prosthetic, because you saw the two open negatives that are the opposite of the sculpture we initially create. So at first we do our sculpture, then we do a mold of the sculpture, we open the mold, and then we pour in the mold silicone. That's the 3-step process in a simple explanation. Now, how to apply prosthetics? We have a certain preparation. We clean and degrease the skin to create a smooth, even surface for the prosthetic to adhere to. We apply a thin layer of adhesive to the skin. We provide a strong and durable bond this way. Then it's the positioning and application of the prosthetic. We carefully position and apply the prosthetic piece to the designated area. We align the edges with the actor's natural features as much as we can. So we smooth out air bubbles or wrinkles underneath and blend the edges for a seamless transition. We use multiple layers of additional materials that can be latex or silicone, depending on the prosthetic material we're using. So we put additional material, latex, like latex on a latex prosthetic, or silicone on a silicone prosthetic. And we apply it as needed to achieve the desired effect. And then we do our final touches by carefully painting and texturing the surface to match the actor's skin tone and surrounding features. We use specialized makeup products for this to happen. This can be airbrushes and other tools to create a lifelike and convincing result. So attention to detail is very crucial. Painting and pre-painting prosthetics. We have a state of pre-painting the prosthetics to establish overall color and tone. We ensure the prosthetic matches the character's intended appearance. We fill in imperfections so that we create a smoother surface for further detailing, and we strengthen the bond that can act as an adhesive to secure the prosthetic in place. We got specialized paints for this, highly pigmented, flexible, or designed for prosthetics. And then the application techniques can be sponges, brushes, or an airbrush. And to achieve a seamless integration, the final result in prosthetic is a prosthetic that looks and feels like a natural extension of the actor's body. To blend seamlessly with actor's skin and features, it creates a truly immersive and believable character this way. So you saw the process on the video before, and down here, down below, we got 3 images showing pre-painted prosthetic. From what you can understand then, pre-painting prosthetics is a way to be time efficient, not waiting to apply the prosthetic first and then apply the paint on top. Or you can make just adjustments. You paint it beforehand while it's on the head, on the base, and then you make adjustments, color adjustments on the model or the person wearing it. Then we got a much harder version of prosthetic application. Multiple prosthetics application usually is for foam latex parts or for silicone parts, as you can see here. The left image shows one almost applied piece on a puppet, and with a piece in the front that hasn't been cleaned from the wall of the prosthetic. The middle and the right is the same project, the right being during application and the middle is the final. So we can have overlapping pieces of silicone to create a unique character. We cannot possibly do a big silicone piece as a flat mold. We need other processes for this to achieve the result. For multiple prosthetics application then, when creating complex fantastical characters, special effects artists often need to apply multiple silicone prosthetics to transform an actor's appearance. This process requires a high level of skill and precision to ensure a seamless and believable result with careful planning and preparation. Because in this instance, we not only have to make a perfect transition of the prosthetic on the skin, we also have to make a perfect transition of a prosthetic on the skin and on other prosthetics. Special effects artists will work closely with the production team to understand the character's design for this and the specific requirements for each prosthetic piece. This may even involve creating detailed sketches, 3D models, or even small-scale maquettes to visualize the final look. So in order to decide how many prosthetics and how we're going to apply them on a model, we need to visualize the final look. So we create a maquette initially. Once the prosthetics are fabricated, the application process begins, as you can understand. Silicone prosthetics are known for the flexibility and durability, as we mentioned before. So they are well suited for layering and blending with other pieces. The artist will start by carefully applying a base layer, such as a full face mask or a neck appliance, ensuring a seamless fit and secure adhesion to the actor's skin. From there, they will meticulously add additional prosthetic elements, such as brow ridges, cheekbones, or other facial features, blending the edges and textures to create a cohesive and lifelike appearance. The use of specialized adhesives, solvents, and techniques ensure that the multiple silicone prosthetics can withstand the demands of filming or live performance without compromising the integrity of the character's design. The final result of this detailed process is a truly remarkable transformation, as you saw on the slide before, where the actor's natural features are skillfully obscured and replaced with fantastical yet believable new identity. This level of prosthetic artistry is, you could say, a testament to the dedication and the expertise of special effects artists who push the boundaries of what is possible in the realm of cinematic and theatrical illusions. Now we got a video here. I hope you'll enjoy this. Many different occasions of prosthetic application on actors. Let me adjust this for you. You'll probably recognize many of the characters if you have seen these films before, and what the actors have to go through to be successful in character, in the scripted character of each film.
Everyone knows actors and actresses deal with the stress of hair and makeup on set, but did you ever think that their on-screen makeup and prosthetics might be taking a toll on them? Anyone who wears makeup knows just how annoying putting it on and taking it all off again can be. But wait till you see the painstaking process that these 15 actors were put through in their makeup transformations to make you feel truly grateful for your own makeup routine. Stick around to see how these actors and actresses dealt with these sticky makeovers. After 20 different makeup tests to find the perfect shade of blue for Jennifer Lawrence's character Mystique, the process of completing this actress's makeup for the X-Men film was already proving to be challenging. Can you believe it took 6 girls 7 hours to fully paint the actress's body?
Which every woman knows is our dream come true.
In order to keep herself up and at 'em during the application process, Lawrence would either stand or work out on a bicycle to keep her blood pumping. Not only was Lawrence's full blue bodysuit of makeup arduous to get on, but it was painful to keep on, as the actress reported the blue paint to be irritating to her skin, causing boils and blisters to her complexion.
Apparently they've simplified the bluing of you.
Turns out they never had to do 8 hours of full-blown body paint ever.
Oh.
As much as the prosthetics used on Anya Chalotra may have added to her role on the set of The Witcher, the very same prosthetics that enhanced her acting abilities also caused her physical harm.
And the costume and the blood and
sweat.
After being fitted with a hunchback to make her character that much more believable, the star fell victim to a pulled nerve, causing her lots of pain. The thickness of her costume caused even more sweaty discomfort that the actress had to deal with during her time on set. She even said, "I have a trapped nerve in my back that I had to get massaged out after playing her for so long. It was very uncomfortable."
How much for this beast?
From a full-blown head cast to hours of makeup, it's no wonder Anne Hathaway needed to vent about her makeup experience for the Witches movie. She took to Instagram and called her makeup look her resting witch face. After sitting through having her whole head enveloped in whatever that is in order to mold her facial prosthetics, Hathaway must have needed to take a well-deserved breather from her makeup process.
If you notice, in the length of the video, because it's a time lapse, I got stuck.
After insisting upon the use of prosthetics herself, Angelina Jolie was fitted with cheek, nose, ear, and teeth prosthetics to bring her character in Maleficent to life. Angelina stated in an interview,
We didn't want her to be somebody that when you were staring at her during a real dramatic scene, that you were distracted by her makeup.
So it had to be extreme, but her soul had to come out. Despite its simplicity, this makeup look took a full 3 hours to apply and 1 hour to take off every day. And Jolie wore it for 16 hours at a time. Ouch.
And it was like living out some childhood fantasy.
You know that being in such intense makeup for his role as Vision was in no way comfortable, as Paul Bettany is seen ripping off his full-face makeup, which might be the most painful part of the process. This makeup look takes the actor only an hour and a half of application time. Not too shabby compared to some of the other actors on this list. The most uncomfortable part of Bettany's prosthetic setup is his lack of hearing, with makeup artists having to make adjustments to his prosthetics in order for him to be able to hear at all.
And I didn't think for a minute what that was actually going to mean to me physically.
Ryan Reynolds' painful makeup application for his character Deadpool was truly grueling because of the time that went into the look. Reynolds was a good sport, maybe even too good of a sport, as he pranked his makeup artist by ripping off his facial prosthetics after hours of application.
If you're not going to do it right, there's no point in doing it at all.
During John Rhys Davies' startling transformation into Gimli, the actor had to face terrible makeup processes, which left him barely able to see and made his skin break out in an allergic reaction. The Lord of the Rings actor had to work on alternate days in order to give his skin a break from the harsh makeup process.
You can't really see my brows moving and all the rest of it.
In order to transform lead actor Jacob Tremblay into a boy with the genetic disorder Treacher-Collins syndrome, makeup artists needed full-body prosthetics to make it work. The makeup itself took an hour and a half of painfully meticulous application and suited Jacob up in a full head of prosthetics. No way is it comfortable wearing a fake face and head for 9 whole hours of shooting.
It was like there was a nice cozy warm cocoon around your head.
Game of Thrones is known for its creative and interesting character design. Kai Alexander's role as Leaf was no exception to this imaginative creativity. The most painful thing about this makeover process was definitely its runtime, as Kai had to sit for nearly 10 hours to get this makeup on and ready for the spotlight.
I sat in a chair for 10 hours, top to bottom, including the wig.
Even makeup artist David White calls Nebula's makeup look the most complex and interesting of any of the characters in Guardians of the Galaxy.
It was very challenging, especially on a female. I had to be sexy and kind of comic book, but believable.
This makeup look was so intense it took 5 hours of application, and even required Karen to shave her head. She knew this going into the audition process, but didn't really get a chance to process the bald-headed change until she got the role. I don't know if dedication to a makeup look gets more uncomfortable than that.
And I might have done something a little bit crazy.
This not very well-known actress has had an even less well-known transformation into Pepper from American Horror Story Asylum. The makeup look that transformed her into Pepper takes about 3 hours and 2 makeup artists, including blinding her in one eye with a contact lens and setting her up with a pair of fake teeth. Imagine sitting in makeup for 3 hours and then having to walk around half blind afterwards. How uncomfortable.
I want baby eyes!
The most uncomfortable part of Vladimir's transformation into the Night King in the Game of Thrones series has to be the 6.5, you heard me, 6.5 hours of sitting in the makeup chair. Then, once in full Night King garb, the actor had to remember not to blink while in character. The combo of painstaking makeup application and these intense stage directions definitely made for an uncomfortable experience on the Game of Thrones set.
It looks like easy, but it's definitely not so easy.
Another leading woman who had to deal with the absolute torture of full-body makeup application is Zoe Saldana in her role as Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy. Just like J-Law, she had to deal with the trials and tribulations of many color tests to get her to be the perfect shade of green. The Marvel franchise star revealed just how long it took to apply all of her makeup, over 3 hours, and with the help of 2 separate makeup artists. Zoe is quoted saying,
"The whole coming together of Gamora every morning, that was a little grueling."
Famous actress Halle Berry played 6 different characters in Cloud Atlas, so it's surprising that you may have never even seen it. Her makeup transformation into 6 different identities was surely an uncomfortable hassle, as the actress also had to deal with a recently broken foot on set. Her makeup artist, Jeremy Woodhead, is quoted saying, "Even with all the discomfort she was going through, it was necessary to the story of each character."
That part was thrilling as an actor and a huge challenge.
One of the most well-known makeup movie jobs in history has also been one of the most uncomfortable. When transforming into the Grinch, Jim Carrey is known for being irritated by yellow contact lenses, being restrained by his full bodysuit, and needing the help of a torture specialist to get through the movie shoot.
It was when I did the Grinch, I was literally, the makeup was like being buried alive every day.
The next time you watch a movie or television show with intensely creative-looking characters, think about how much time and pain went into their looks before you judge their acting.
So, that was today's presentation. Hello, Mrs. Labrini.
Oh,
How are you?
Mr. Filios, fine, thank you.
Perfect.
So interesting. Today's presentation, so interesting. Bravo.
You saw the whole presentation from the very beginning?
20 minutes later, I entered the Zoom.
Oh, okay, it's okay.
But
Because
this last
okay.
video was amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine so many work behind the scenes.
Yeah, a whole lot of work and the patience from the actor side.
Bravo to them. Honestly, Mr. Kamtsis, an example for all of us. Honestly. Thank you, Mr. Filios. Thank you.
I thank you for everything.
I want to ask something. Returning to theater. Well, you explained very well how can we appear something, how can we add something on the face of an actor.
Yeah.
If we want to disappear something, what is there any technique to do this? Probably I can understand, to help you, I can understand if we want to disappear an ear, for example, or an eye.
This technique is a visual technique, not a special effects technique, unfortunately. They usually paint the ear green, and they use the green screen technique to cut the ear off in post-production afterwards.
No, I'm speaking about the theater. If
I want
to disappear my ear for somehow, there is the performance like this, okay?
Yeah,
I want to disappear the ear or the eye. Probably it is, yes, I can understand how can we do that with latex or silicone something. If I want to disappear, for example, the nose, can I do that? Is there any technique to do this?
In theater, you mean?
In theater, when everything is real, everything is under the sun, everybody can see me. Probably my distance from the first arrow of the audience is 3 meters. It's very close.
Probably a very realistic mask with no nose, with the same features of the actor but without a nose, probably, just for this act of not having a nose. There are solutions to this, yeah.
A whole mask for the whole face?
A whole mask, yeah, without the nose. Because you cannot apply something on the nose. It will be visible that you have applied something on the nose. Since the nose is a place of the face that protrudes, will protrude even more if you apply something on. So you have to make the whole face protrude more in order to hide the nose.
Okay, what about then the expression of the actor? Probably the actor have to speak, have to cry, have to laugh, have to express their emotions. What is happening if we have a whole mask here? It's gonna be still. It's gonna be freeze.
Not if you make a mask out of silicone. If you make a silicone mask really soft, you can have expressions in theater.
Okay. Okay.
You just don't need to apply multiple prosthetics. That's the difference. You apply a mask that can be movable all around.
From silicone, by silicone.
From silicone, yeah, for theater. Yeah, silicone is also applied for theater nowadays.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And you can apply it with a brush, with your fingers, with what?
No, you glue it with glue.
With glue.
You glue it and you just make the edges disappear, but not so meticulously like cinema. More rough, in a more rough way in theater, since it's from a distance.
Okay. 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 Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I have to confront something like this theater period that we have next. That's why I'm asking. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you plan to do something like this, disappearing of nose of a character on stage?
Yeah. We will speak in detail about that.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Can't wait for this then.
Thank you. Anybody else who wants to ask something?
Yes, Catherine has something.
Come on, Catherine.
Yeah, please.
Yes, I'm inquiring about the color. The color of the actor. Like, how is it done? African way, then the Europeans. If I want to get that skin color, how is it done? Is it done during the molding process when I'm creating that?
No, it's done. No. It's done during the silicone. While you mix the two parts of the silicone, because usually silicone is a two-part material. You add a brown color that is suitable for you, a generic brown. Then you mix all the things together and you pour the silicone in the mold, as you saw on the video. You just change the color that is in the silicone, nothing more than this. Then the other adjustments are done on top after applying the prosthetic with paints afterwards, after you glue it. So in the process, nothing changes apart from the color added in the silicone. Nothing difficult here. No.
Okay, which one? The molding one was the silicone, or the other one that looked like glue that was poured onto the molding?
No, I'm speaking about the orange pink liquid. It was poured on the mold. You saw there was a part of the video where we saw the guy pouring a liquid on the mold, right? And then swiping to get the excess off. This is the same material, but you just paint it brown while it is liquid.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask you something?
Of course.
Okay. First of all, thank you for this presentation. It was very interesting.
I'm really glad you enjoyed it.
And all these materials, okay, it's difficult for a starter.
I know.
To use them because they cost a lot just to play and experimenting.
Yeah. It's not cost effective at all.
for just seeing how they work.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why if you intend to occupy yourself with this kind of profession, you always need to do some studies from certified professionals, of course.
Yes. Okay, I would like to ask you about the wax material. You can the wax.
Yeah, what about it?
This is a material that it sticks to the
face.
To the face, or so, and you can sculpt. We can say a scar or something like that.
Yeah, of course you can.
And then, okay, it's more simpler than the latex or silicone, and it doesn't need to make a mold.
No, it doesn't involve a molding process. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. You just sculpt it and you paint it.
You sculpt it on the face, yeah.
Or you use also a glue, a special glue.
You use the same glue, same spirit gum glue. You've seen spirit gum, I think. It's a common glue with special effects.
Okay.
Yeah, you use a spirit gum. It's like a resin glue, and then you sculpt on the face with the wax.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's it, and then you paint it afterwards on top.
It sounds simply for a starter to start just experimenting a little bit the wax.
Of course, it is quite ideal for sculpting.
Yes.
But you can experiment with official materials as well, even though you don't create a mold afterwards. You can do 10, 12, 20 different sculptures from plastiline, from a non-sulfur clay or water clay, the clay that children use as well.
Okay.
You can use simple materials that are really official in the profession. And then leave them be without doing a mold, just to evolve your skills in sculpting. Yeah.
Okay.
For makeup, wax is really ideal, though. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. As we are in the end, do you have any exercise to give to the participants? Because we have to give them.
Yeah, no, truth is, I thought of something, but I'd rather write it to Spectacolo Theater and then have it sent to the participants rather than describing it now, as we did last time.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll just send to the email, to Spectacle's email. Okay.
Okay. Well, according to what you will submit, I mean the participants will submit, I will, as a coordinator, send the certification of this session, of this course, makeup design. So let's give them a deadline, Dimitri. Where you will, after you send the exercise, okay, how many days they will have in order to prepare the answer, well,
I think 1 week is ideal.
Okay.
Just 1 week, yeah.
Okay, so 1 week after Dimitris will send you the exercise, please send me your work, any work, in order to send you the certification. This is a preference, one of the most crucial preference of the project. From the European community, I cannot send certification to anybody I want, but to the people will participate to the exercises in general. But anyway, let's say for the final.
So as long as participants complete the final task, they're ready to take their certificate.
Yeah, the certificate with the logo of European Community, that is a European project, and so on.
Will I get one as a tutor, though?
Yeah. Yes.
Can't wait for this. Okay.
I need to ask a question.
Of course. Please.
In one of the videos we're watching
today,
there is a today. When they're trying to cut out the prosthetic, what kind of liquid is that we're using? Not like cutting with our scissors, but there's a liquid like you're trying to get the skin and then you're getting off the outer side.
When you get rid of the little bit of the wall around the prosthetic.
Yeah.
This is acetone. Yes. This is acetone.
Acetone. Oh yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome.
But it's not very good for the skin, acetone. Okay.
If it's in small,
we have to use it with carefully.
Yeah. If it's in small quantities, it's okay.
Okay.
That's why they apply it with a Q-tip to remove the little wall.
Also, if I'm to ask,
please proceed.
Is there anything else that we can use? For example, if I'm not going to use, if I don't have access to silicone and I don't have access to latex, is there anything else that I can use? Not gelatin, because so many times you would want to use gelatin, but it usually, to me, that's what happens when I'm using it. It wears out very fast.
Gelatin.
Because I need to use it hot. Yes, I need to use it a bit warm or hot. I don't know if it's warm or hot. But you'll also realize that certain things that you can use latex, you can't use them for gelatin. So is there anything else I can use in case I don't have any of those three?
It depends if you're making the prosthetic from a mold or not. As Joanna said before, you can use wax that can be sealed on top of the skin. It should sealed with a sealer. The wax is sealer. If you go to a store like Cryolan, for example, they will give you the sealer with the wax alongside. You will ask for a sealer for the wax, and they'll give it to you. It's just one sealer. It's named sealer. They don't have another.
No, okay.
Yeah, apart from wax that you can sculpt immediately on the skin, then you go with options like silicone again, but not silicone for molds, silicone that have two parts, two little vases that you mix together and you create some effects on the skin immediately. This is the other option.
Okay, thank you.
Cryolan has this product named Artex, I think. So you can write this down if you happen to have a Cryolan near you, or if you can order from a Cryolan. This product is called Artex. It's a two-component product with
the one that has an A and a B.
A and B, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So you have some options apart from molds. But I just wanted to go through molds for you to have an image of what you can do and how you can, what is the level you can involve if you choose to, or if you have the possibility to do studies like this.
A question also?
Yeah, of course. Please proceed.
What's the difference between the mask and then the prosthetics? These ones that you are from studying. Is it prosthetics? Yes.
The masks and prosthetics.
But yes, the one that Mr. Nicholas was saying of using in theater, then also this one, prosthetics too, the one that involves molding. Does masks also involve molding them?
Yeah, usually if we have a certain actor that needs to have a mask on him, we need the exact dimensions of the face. So we need to do a mold of his face at first, and then we need to sculpt on the face that we molded. And then we do another cast, another mold of our sculpture. So the dimensions should be exact on the actor. So yes, we need another mold, even for masks, yeah.
I get the face of the actor. Is it that I have to make the maquettes? You say maquettes?
You still have to do a maquette to have a visual image of what you're gonna do in a real scale afterwards. You start small with a maquette, and then you transform your maquette in a life size dimension for the actor. It's like the quick sketch. How do you do a quick doodle on your sketchbook? It's the equivalent for sculptures. The same thing.
Okay. Wow, it is interesting. I wish I get the chance of studying that one as well. More and more.
Yeah. And
Thank you so
I'm wishing this for you. For all of you, I'm wishing you have the opportunity to do prosthetics and special effects. It's really my passion, specifically. So I really wish everyone the chance to do this. If you should you wish for it.
I can join.
You're welcome.
I think Mr. Nicholas has had. Okay, here wants to join Mr. Dimitris. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I want to ask John Nantes. What is your real name? I cannot find you to my records here.
My name is Joan Nantege.
Sorry?
Joan Nantege.
But
I use the email address I use is Jojo Kauma.
Can you write it to chat?
All right.
Mr. Kamtsis, we have in the participations list Mrs. John's full name. We have it in our the first participation list
I cannot
for
find
Spectacolo.
it. I don't know why. I cannot find it, Nantes.
So, okay, we will contact. I will tell you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but we have the name, the full name.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. If the participants, nobody of the participants wants to ask anything else, we can say goodbye. Have a nice summer, and we are waiting. We're looking forward for your exercise after Dimitris will send you the exercise he wants as the last one.
Yeah, I'll write it down. Maybe today, tomorrow, one of those days, and have it sent to you.
Okay. 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 I will stop the recording.